23rd meeting of Hardin County Fiscal Court. I'd remind you this is a voting meeting, and if you have cell phones, please turn them off or put them in vibrate mode. We'll begin with a roll call, if you would, Ms. Donnelly.
Judge Berry.
Here.
Easter.
Here.
Doug Goodman.
Here.
Williams. Here. Clem.
Here.
Wiseman.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Ronnie Goodman.
Here.
King.
Here. Magistrate Doug Goodman will lead us in the invocation, and Magistrate King in the pledge, if you'll please stand.
Join me in prayer. Dear God, our Heavenly Father, we're assembled today. We're most thankful for this beautiful day you bestowed upon us. We ask you to guide us in our decisions. May we use our best skills, judgments for all decisions today for Hardin County. For this we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Would you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business this afternoon is public hearings. We have two of them. The first one has to do with the 2022 county property tax rates. Today we have Assistant County Attorney Peyton Griffee here with us to conduct these hearings.
Thank you, Judge. Purpose of today's first hearing is to hear public comment on the proposed property tax rates for Hardin County 2022 through 2023. Notice of today's hearing was published twice in the News Enterprise on August 6, 22 and August 13th of 22. If anyone would like to be heard on these rates, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
That'll be one.
Hello, my name is Sarah Jo Best. I'm the Public Health Director for Lincoln Trail District Health Department and the Secretary of the Hardin County Board of Health. Our address is 580 Westport Road, Elizabethtown, Kentucky. The Hardin County Board of Health met on June 8th of 2022 and voted to retain the property taxes. Our current tax rates will remain the same at 2.2 cents per 100 of assessed valuation for all real property, a rate of 2.2 cents of assessed valuation of all personal property, and a rate of 2.2 cents per 100 of the assessed valuation of all motor vehicles in Hardin County.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Wooden. I'm the chairman of the Hardin County Extension District Board. I'm here to talk to you about the tax rates for the district board. We have agreed to the compensating tax rates, 1.8 cents of real property, 2.6 cents on tangible personal property, motor vehicles, watercraft, and aircraft, 1.46 cents. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing today?
Fine.
Good. Bennett, Hardin County Conservation District. Anybody that doesn't know me? We retained our rate at 0.015%, as we have for the past numerous years since I've been on the board. As always, if you'll allow me the indulgence of reading off some of the things we take care of with that money, I'd be happy to do that. First thing we have right here, art and writing contest. We had 49 students and 18 schools participate. That award banquet happens every year in March. If you all been able to come, hopefully all of you will be able to come in the near future when we have the next ones. Scholarships, we have 1 high school and 5 college awards this year. We have an allotment for 6 high school and 6 for college. So, you know, anybody that's looking for a scholarship this year or next year, we'd be happy to interview the application. Recycling projects, we have a project with J.T. Alton Middle School recycling bins. We do the tree seedling giveaway every year. This year we gave away 2,400 seedlings. We're actually putting the order in for trees right now, so if you've got a particular preference, let us know, and maybe if we can find it, we'll have it there next year for y'all. We also sponsor 4 awards for the 4-H FFA Youth Project Completion Show at the fair, $250 each for a total of $1,000. We do a scholarship program for 2 children to attend conservation camp every year. I don't think we had anybody this year, but again, you know, anybody that's looking to go in that camp, we'd be happy to assist them. We also do the same for the 4-H camp, 2 kids. We sponsor seasonal high tunnels. The last one we had put in place was at Meadowview Elementary. I think the project's going very well. Saw Mr. Honecker at the back-to-school bash at Center Hardin. I didn't, but Marcia did, and it seemed like things were going well. I'd like to get out there again and take a look at it. Excuse me. We also sponsor and support the Envirothon teams at area schools. We didn't have one this year, but the years past we've had one. They held that at Saunders Springs, I think, 2 years ago. So another good boon for Hardin County. Back to School Fest, we were present. Sorry, we weren't. Marcia was present at the Back to School Fest. I was there as a parent, walking my daughter around, trying to get out of the heat as fast as possible. So, but it was a good event. We also have 3 Winners Farmers Market events at the Extension Office. We do educational programs at the area schools. Again, Marcia does the majority of that. Sponsor Safety Day. We worked with 4-H and Extension Office for the last few years on that. Hardin County Schools Family Resource Center Summer Camp. We do Ag Days at Lakewood and Creekside. Then we have the Ag Experience at the Hardin County Fair. I'm sure we might have forgotten something, so if we did, I'd be happy to take the credit right now if you want to give it to me. If not, then that's all I have to report.
Yeah, call Marcia.
Yeah. I credit you and Marcia for great leadership.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you all.
Marcia did the work though, right?
I'm sorry?
Marcia did the work, right?
She did the work.
That's what you told me.
Thank you. Was there anybody else? And anyone else on the court that would like to provide a comment today? Seeing none, Judge, that'll close this hearing.
All right. And the next public hearing is for road closing at Cherry Hill Estates. Again, Mr. Griffee.
Thanks, Judge. A request has been made by property owner Robert Moore to close a 40-foot undeveloped right-of-way known as Cherry Hill Drive in Elizabethtown. Notice of today's public hearing was in the News Enterprise August 14th, 2022. On August 9th, 2022, Fiscal Court appointed viewers to make a written report to the court as to any inconvenience that would result from the discontinuance of the road, and the report is included in your materials. The law requires the Planning Commission to review discontinuance of the road in accordance with the county's comprehensive plan, and Mr. Adam King will speak about that.
Good afternoon.
And Mr. King will make a report to the court with background and answer any questions that you all may have. Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you. All right, so as stated, again, it's a road closing request for Mr. Robert Moore to close an undeveloped 40-foot right-of-way known as Cherry Hill Drive. That's in Cherry Hill Estates. The exhibits we'll enter into the record are the meeting notification requirements, Kentucky Revised Statute 100.3244, the vicinity and zoning map, the City of Elizabethtown zoning map, aerial photographs, the plat of Cherry Hill Estates from 1978, proposed amended plat, photographs of the site. We have staff report and comprehensive plan analysis, the county's comprehensive plan and zoning ordinances, Planning Commission Resolution 2022-018, Fiscal Court Resolution 2022-143, appointing the viewers report, and then lastly, Fiscal Court Resolution, and make a recommendation to the referring body, in this case Fiscal Court, for the project's compliance with the comprehensive plan. The meeting notification has been threefold. So we've had signs posted out on site since Friday, July 22nd, newspaper ad in the News Enterprise since the August 13th, 14th edition, and then 9 letters were sent to adjoining owners. So we are just west of here, out off Hutcherson Lane. Cherry Hill Estates is a subdivision with 6 lots, a single road, Cherry Hill Drive, that was never constructed. So here we are again, we're right near the corner of Patriot Parkway and Hutcherson, surrounded on 3 or 4 sides by city limits of Elizabethtown. That's our zoning map there, so the white is city limits, the pale shade of green would be our urban residential R1 zone. This is the city of Elizabethtown zoning map, so we are surrounded by commercial and also some residential there. Just an aerial photograph. Zooming in a little tighter here, so we're essentially just behind the mini warehouse storage units there and the Baptist Hardin Cancer Center that would be on Robin Brook Boulevard. So here's an aerial photograph. Again, the right-of-way is in red. You'll see from the photos, though, while platted in 1978, it was never constructed. So there's the subdivision plat from 78, 6 lots around a single street with a cul-de-sac. Here's our proposed amended plat. So again, Mr. Moore proposes to close the right-of-way, merge the right-of-way and the 6 lots together into a single lot. He's got a 3,700 square foot house out there built in 1978. This had been an in-home daycare there for many, many years. Also a 6,900 square foot pole barn built about 2000. Here's the site. So this would be approximate location of the right-of-way, Hutcherson Road, Hutcherson Lane there is on your left. And again, the right-of-way would run up here. It's essentially just part of his yard. Has trees growing within it. Looking down past the existing driveway, looking back towards Patriot Parkway. Here again, just the location of the right-of-way. Various signs. State law requires us to post 3 signs on the site. So you all have my staff report, staff review and recommendation to the Planning Commission and also Fiscal Court finds that it is in agreement with the comprehensive plan, citing goal 10 to improve the transportation system of Hardin County so that it encourages the smooth flow of traffic throughout the county, and then objective 10 to evaluate and close streets or streets of record which are not being used, have not been constructed, or are unnecessary. That is Planning Commission Resolution 2022-018, sending a favorable recommendation to Fiscal Court to close the right-of-way. Here's Fiscal Court's Resolution 143 of this year, appointing viewers. This is the signed viewers report from myself, Road Supervisor Dwight Morgan, and Nick Douthit with Engineering Department, that no inconvenience would be caused by closing this right-of-way. And then lastly, for your all's consideration, would be Resolution 2022-154 to close the right-of-way. That's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions you all might have.
Any concerns from adjoining landowners? You sent out the letters?
Yeah, we did get quite a few calls, and there was just misunderstanding. Folks thought we were closing Hutcherson. So we got a lot of calls.
I can imagine. I bet that woke a few of them up, didn't it?
So I'll be glad to go pull those signs tomorrow. But no,
Okay.
No one had any concerns with it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you.
Now, we will make this report a part of the record. Is there anyone present who would like to speak on the matter? Seeing no one, Judge, that will close our hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll move on to elected office reports. First up today, we have Dr. William Lee, the coroner.
Afternoon, Judge and members of the court. Put our bi-monthly report for June and July. Coroner calls and let's see, you got the clicker there. Okay, the first slide, June shows total cases 111. The breakdown as to the manner of death, accidental and suicide and natural. So we had 7 accidental deaths, a combination of means of accident, a couple of car wrecks, a fall, and looks like 4 overdoses from the that continues to be a big thing in Hardin County. A lot of drug overdoses and many times fentanyl, as you all have heard before. 3 suicides. 2 of those were overdoses. I don't have the specific drug down there, but I think they were both involving fentanyl. And of course, natural deaths, the majority, the 101 you see. Next month, July, I had the same number of cases. That's kind of rare, 111 cases both months. And then the accidents totals 9, and combination of car wrecks and then overdoses. 99 natural deaths, and we got one that's pending, or two that are pending, just waiting on toxicology reports from the forensic lab. Did have one suicide. Next slide showing the total cases year to date, so that's through July the 31st. And you see going back to 2018, and the numbers continue to climb. And, I'm sure they'll continue to do that. Next slide is what I call a busy slide, showing the breakdown of 3 different categories of manner of death, being accident, the middle columns, homicides, and the far right, suicides. See the accidental deaths through July 31st is a little more than the previous 3 years. In the middle columns, homicides, we were down. We only had one. I need to knock on some wood on it. I'm on call this weekend, so I hope I didn't jinx myself. But, you know, there's the other category, the last category, the suicides, and they're down a little bit too, you see. And I don't have a real good reason how these numbers work out like this. Next slide pertains just to the drug overdoses, and we just, I think, put this slide in the last couple of sessions, I believe. 2019, 2020, 2021, those numbers show for the entire year, the 12-month. You know, we go by the calendar year, January through December. So last year, 50 total cases. Now the last column for this year, as you see the asterisk, is indicating that's through the current, it's through the end of July, so we still have 5 months, don't we? And I'm sure we're going to pass that 50 mark from last year. Right now we have 34 as of July 31. And I already picked up several this month. Next slide, again, kind of a busy slide, as I call it, categories of autopsies. And that's a big difference in it from last year to this year. I guess we had a lot of complicated cases last year and had to get the forensic pathologist to help us in rulings and cause of death. So this year it's been a little easier. The bequeathals, nobody is, and part of that's because of the universities, I don't think, are accepting decedents for body donations right now after COVID, but hopefully that'll pick up. I had several people question that this past year, but hadn't been able to participate. Middle columns, see the cremations, and that continues. You've heard me talk about that before. It just continues to climb. Before a body can be cremated in Kentucky, the coroner has to review the circumstances as to make sure the guy hadn't killed his wife and had her burned up and get away with murder. So we have to do more investigation on cremations than you might think. Next column, the county cremations, it's been holding pretty even the last few years. Indigent cases, and then the next 2 columns, the last 2, indicate the transport. And you see this past year, Mark, you guys hadn't had to bring your bodies back to the morgue. I was seeing this, trying to keep you working on live ones instead of the dead ones. But you see our case, the coroner transport, up to 80. So obviously the EMS gets to the scene when the 911 call is made, and they get to the scene, and if it's a non-resuscitatable person that they can pronounce, and then they call the coroner, and they can go ahead and clear, hopefully, most of the time. And so we're trying to keep them from dealing with our cases. And I think the last slide, just a common slide for residency of the decedents. And again, E-Town continues to be because of our population and hospital, nursing homes, and so forth, continues to be the higher percentage of deaths, so 48%, and Radcliffe behind, and then on down the few incorporated areas, and unincorporated, 16%. And out of state, usually wrecks out on the interstate, where bodies are brought back to the morgue and released from there. So that's all. If anybody has any questions, Judge, that's it.
Any questions for Dr. Lee?
Thank y'all.
Thanks, appreciate it. Next, we'll hear from the Hardin County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff John Ward.
Dr. Lee is a tough act to follow. Good afternoon, Judge Berry, magistrates, county clerk, county attorney, and everyone else present here today. The following is the June and July report for the Hardin County Sheriff's Office. Arrest, 221, 272 citations issued, 156 warrants served, 811 civil processes, 1,421 complaint calls, 99 accidents investigated, 76 criminal investigations, 2,440 other activities, 122 school safety checks, 223 violation warnings, and 2,095 attempts to serve. In the office operations, 100 records checks were conducted, 245 concealed carry permits, 1,344 vehicles inspected. Court transportation, 84 adults were transported to court, no juveniles, and in-state transports, we had 102. And the following slides, just some examples. You all saw our vehicle out back earlier in the month collecting water. We were originally just going to take my truck and trailer with water, and our water collection ended up two box trucks. Bright Electric brought 2 box trucks, and we loaded them with water. And also we were able to take, now it's well over $5,000 in Walmart and Dollar Store gift cards to Eastern Kentucky. And next slide is showing a surplus cruiser that we had that we were able to take to Letcher County. It was marked up from Auto Trim Design, marked it up as if the way the Letcher County cruisers were marked. Letcher County Sheriff's Office lost basically their whole fleet in the flood, and other sheriff's offices around the state have taken cars down to them. They were very appreciative. I'd never seen that much flood devastation, and it was unbelievable driving through those counties, going to Letcher County. It was a long day, but definitely a rewarding day. But that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
Comments for Sheriff Ward?
Did you go up, Sheriff, did you go up Mountain Parkway?
Yes, went to Mountain Parkway through Hazard up 15, or down 15.
Right.
To Whitesburg. Then we cut across through your part of the country, went over Pine Mountain on the way back.
Yeah.
So we made a pretty good loop.
You kind of met yourself coming back.
Yeah.
You can do that over there.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from the Sheriff's Office Chief Financial Officer, Teri Bennett.
Good afternoon, Judge and members of Fiscal Court. You have in your materials 2 documents concerning the financial department. One is our actual budget, and the other one is the balance sheet. On the budget, you will see in June that we spent $389,000, and in July, you will see that we spent $568,000, almost $569,000. And in June, you will see that we spent $370,000 in payroll, and almost the same amount in July, which was up a little bit. We have hired a couple of new deputies that will be SRO deputies in the fall. And you will see that the difference mainly is in vehicles. We've had to purchase some new vehicles. They will not necessarily go to the SROs, but they will go to the road, and some of the road units, deputies will be going to the SROs that we will be hiring, or that we have hired, either one. In June, you will see that we spent 7.51% of our budget, and in July, we have spent 10.98% of our budget. And totaling for the year that we have spent 55.40%, but I also would like you to look in August, we have already, that included a 3% amount that we have spent for the month of August already. So it's really just about 52% of our budget that we have spent thus far. Again, our main purchases are our payroll. We did have the large vehicle purchase in July and also in August that we purchased vehicles. And those were simply to replace some of the road deputy vehicles that needed to be replaced. We knew that the vehicles were going up extreme amount for next year, and we were able to get these basically at the same price that we got them earlier. So we went ahead and made those purchases for the vehicles. And of course, you can see that our gas bill is a little bit more than what we had projected for the beginning of the year. And those are items that we will have to look at a later date to adjust some monies around. In our balance sheet, you will see that we sent up to Frankfurt $115,413 in June, and in July, $126,315. We are to date, we are $685,000 in debt with the state, and that is pretty much on target with what we normally are at this time of the year. Anyone have any questions or answers for me at this time of the year?
Any comments?
No?
Thanks, Terry.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much, and have a great day.
Appreciate it. And next, the county clerk, Ms. Debbie Donnelly.
Yes, you have your fees and commissions report in front of you. For June, comparing June 21 to 22, we took in $340,939.04 in June of 21. June of 22, we took in $308,711.29. For the year to date, $1,832,290.94. So in July, for July 21, we took in $319,161.81. Compared to this year, we took in $305,970.62. Year to date, we've taken in $2,138,261.56. So we're down just a little, but overall we're doing good. So if anyone has any questions.
Anyone? Okay, thanks, Debbie. Next, we'll move on to ordinances, agreements, and resolutions. This is tax time, as you can tell by the public hearing that we had earlier. Robin, if you'll go ahead with the slides. I'll give you a short presentation on how we got to the recommendation today. Next slide, please. And of course, the purpose is to provide you our recommendation for the 2022 county property tax rates. Next slide. First off, let's talk about what we're not talking about. We're not talking about school tax rates, state tax rates, or city tax rates. Next slide. What we are including are real property tax rates, personal property tax rates, motor vehicle, watercraft, and aircraft tax rates, the wooded acreage, the soils conservation, cooperative extension service, and the health department taxes, all of which you heard from today. The taxes that the county does not have in Hardin County, Hardin County does not have a county-wide occupational tax. We don't have an insurance premium tax. Hardin County does not have a public library taxing district, nor do they have, or do we have fire taxing districts, or a hotel tax for the county, or a local sales or restaurant tax for the county. Next slide, please. To give you an idea of the taxes that we are talking about today, what percentage that is of the county's total budget, as you saw from our budgeting presentations earlier in the year, that we have a $55 million budget for this fiscal year. Less than $10 million of that $55 million comes from the property taxes, as you can see in those slices of the pie that's pulled out. The one in red is the one that most people are most concerned about. That's your real estate property taxes at just under $8 million and about 14.5% of our total revenue. Some of the confusion comes with the next slide. of talking about two different rates that people refer to often. The first is the compensating rate, and it says here, KRS 132.010 defines the compensating tax rate is that rate which, when applied to the current year's assessment of the property subject to taxation, excluding new property added to the tax roll for the current year, will produce an amount of revenue approximately equal to that produced in the preceding year. Simply said, that means you pay about what you paid the year before in your county property tax. Now remember, when you look at your tax bill, there's a number of taxing authorities on there, so someone else may have done something different with their taxes that causes your bottom line to be different, but for each taxing authority, if they use the compensating rate, the amount of money that they collect from you, the actual tax, will be about the same. Next slide. So the compensating rate keeps the tax payment approximately the same. There's no cost for inflation added in then, or no CPI added. If the overall property value declines, then the tax rate would have to increase to keep the payment approximately the same. If the overall property values increase, the tax rate would have to decrease to keep the property taxes about the same. Next slide. Then the other rate commonly discussed is what's known as the 4% growth rate. KRS 68.245 states that the portion of a tax rate levied by the fiscal court, which will produce revenue exclusive of revenue from new property of more than 4% over the amount of revenue produced by the compensating rate, shall be subject to recall by the voters. This is a rate, if it's taken, where you pay more. You actually pay more in taxes than the previous year. And if it's more than 4%, then the voters would have an opportunity through petition to challenge the fiscal court's decision to do that. If it's 4% or less, it's left just to the fiscal court to do that. So the 4% growth rate provides for a 4% increase approximately to the tax payment. It allows a taxing authority to account for the impact of inflation on its own budget, allows taxing authority to account for the increase in the consumer price index, and it subjects tax rate to potential voter recall if any increase produces more than a 4% increase in the tax payment. So with that said, the recommendation today that's being put forward is to adopt the compensating rate, the rate that keeps taxes at the amount of payment that you'll make about the same. For us, that will mean that we will lower the current real property tax rate of 12.0 cents per $100 of valuation down to 11.6 cents per $100 of valuation. So what does this mean for the county? Next slide. There you go. So for budget year 2022-2023, which what we're talking about, the tax rates, the real property that will be subject to the rate is about $7.25 billion, that's with a B, of property. So you can see on this slide that's being shown now, that top row there, that if the rate was left at the current rate that we established last year at 12.0 cents per $100 valuation, the gross revenue that we would expect to take in would be $8.7 million. The proposed rate, which is the same as the compensating rate, will produce about $8.4 million in gross dollars. Next slide, please. So what does that mean to the county government in net dollars? After the collection fees that the sheriff takes at 4.25% for collecting, and I might add that that provides a substantial amount of the revenue for the sheriff's office to operate, and a collection rate of approximately 99%, which is just phenomenal, the work that our sheriff's office does in collecting all of this. As you can see in the red circle there, at the proposed rate of 11.6 cents per $100 of valuation, we would expect to produce $7,979,775. Now, I don't expect any of you to remember, but our budget calls for an estimate, or it was estimated, that it'd be $7,975,000. So that's pretty darn close. So going to the next slide, a little bit about the history of our tax rates. And the property tax rate that has been set below the 4% growth rate 12 out of the last 20 years, meaning that we did not take the opportunity for the 4% growth 12 out of those 20 years. Before 2003, the growth rate was always set at the 4% level. This is the 6th time in 20 years that the property tax rate has actually been reduced. That's the property tax rate been reduced. So in summary, we're recommending adopting the real property tax rate at the compensating rate of 11.6 cents per $100 valuation of real property. And the final slide, this shows you all the tax rates that we discussed today, including the Health Department, the Cooperative Extension Service, the Soil Conservation District, and the Fire Protection Fund. They're at the bottom of the slide. So with that, on our agenda today is Resolution 4A, which is number 2022-153, and it's approving the 2022 county property tax rates.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Thompson. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I wish we had the dollar bill. If you take a dollar bill and you slice it up into everybody's piece of that pie, everybody's piece of that dollar bill, county government gets, what, 14, almost 15%.
12.6.
12.6%. 12.6 cents out of that dollar. Now, when we get our property tax bill, we look at that and we have a tendency to say, what do they do with all this money? County government doesn't get all that money. County government gets 12.6 cents out of that each dollar that's on your property tax rate. Now, the rest of it goes to different entities. Hardin County Schools gets the bulk of it. Elizabethtown Independent Schools. And then you've heard the Hardin County Health Department, the Extension Agency, and so on and so forth. A lot of different entities get part of that money that you see on your tax bill. County government gets 12.6 cents. And we have a tendency to be upset when we see that number, but we're paying for our kids to go to school with what the sheriff collects. We're paying a lot of different things. It's not just county government, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Robin, do you have that by chance? The dollar? No? Okay. We'll be sure to send it to you.
I appreciate that. As I go off into retirement, I'm going to keep that. One of those things I'll keep.
We can put it in a frame for you.
Actually, I would like the sheriff to send me that with the tax bill, okay? It'll make me feel a lot better.
Judge, you know you did a good job when the 6th grader in the room understands it.
And explained it.
Thank you, sir.
Got him educated.
Any other comments? If not, Ms. Donnelly?
Easter,
Yes.
Doug Goodman,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Clem,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ronnie Goodman,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Judge Barry.
Yes. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Those items are included in your electronic packet. Are there any corrections that need to be made?
Move approved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Clem, second by Ms. Williams. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Donnelly.
Doug Goodman,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Clem,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Ronnie Goodman,
Yes.
Yes.
King, Judge Barry,
Yes.
Easter.
Yes.
We'll start around the table today with Mr. Easter.
Judge, I don't have anything.
Mr. Doug Goodman.
I'll yield mine to Squire Williams.
Ms. Williams.
I'll yield mine to Mr. Clem.
Just a constant reminder, don't drink and drive, don't text and drive.
All right. Mr. Wiseman.
I have nothing, Judge.
Mr. Thompson?
It is good to be a part of a governmental entity that regularly is able to lower taxes and keep them the lowest of any county in the state. Thank you.
Mr. Ronnigan?
I have nothing, Judge.
Mr. King?
Judge, I saw on Facebook today, it's where I get a lot of information. I'm sure a lot of us do. I saw on Facebook today that the city of Vine Grove is paving.
Oh.
And, I'm to understand that sometime Thursday, we hope to be finished paving Main Street, and we'll be able to resume traffic through Main Street. I'm certainly looking forward to that, being a resident of Vine Grove. Kind of tough going around all the time. Thankful for what's being done over there. Thank you.
All right. Our next meeting of Hardin County Fiscal Court is scheduled for September 13th here in the courtroom at 3:30 in the afternoon. And Ms. Griffee, is there anything else from the attorney's office you'd like to cover?
No, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Donnelly, anything from your office?
I'd like to say thank you to the ones that donated, Lisa and especially Waverly, her daughter that donated items to take to Eastern Kentucky because they really appreciate it. So thank everyone.
All right, and if there's nothing else to come before us, motion would be in order for us to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion from Mr. King, second by Mr. Wiseman. Hearing no objection, we stand adjourned.